Let's talk about emotional flexibility. Emotional flexibility is kind of the next level to all of this. And that is when we're able to realize whatever our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are, and be able to objectively say, okay, well, this is how I'm feeling, but these are my feelings. This is not who I am. There's a big difference between I am angry and I feel angry, right? You feel angry, that's a healthy human emotion. We're all going to, have those feelings of anger. That doesn't mean we are anger or we are loneliness. That's not how you were made. You were made as a beautiful, amazing human being. You may have a feeling of anger, but that doesn't mean that's who you are. So emotional flexibility starts with the premise of realizing I may have these thoughts, feelings, and emotions, but I am not my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Emotional flexibility is also huge as it relates to apologizing and knowing that it's okay to apologize, knowing that it's okay to take responsibility for when we come up short. I come up short all the time in my life and in my relationships. I certainly strive to take feedback on when I do, and I do my best not to repeat those mistakes. But we're all going to come up short from time to time. And I know I do. Coming up short makes you human. Doesn't make you a bad guy. But coming up short and not being willing to admit it, to be confrontational, to stay guarded, that's what's not okay. That's what's harmful to our relationships. You're allowed to make mistakes. So many of the men that I work with, they weren't allowed to make mistakes as little kids, right? Growing up playing sports. Oh, I didn't do good and I didn't get love. You know what message that sends to the brain? It sends to the brain that I can't make mistakes. Oftentimes with the work that I do with men, many of them are the primary financial provider within the relationship. That puts a lot of stress on them to have to make perfect financial decisions. Now, don't get me wrong, very often, especially in the world that we live in today, both individuals within the household are working, but I see it a lot more with the men that I work with, okay? That there's all this pressure on them as it relates to finances, and they think, oh my gosh, I can't make a mistake, everything needs to be perfect. Well, it doesn't just stop there. If it's the mental program with the work, if it's the mental program from childhood, that mental program is going to keep running 24/7, 365 until we identify, whoa, it's okay. I messed up, and it's okay for me to say I messed up. That's emotional flexibility. And as we can give ourselves permission to say it's okay, and as we can give ourselves permission to say I made a mistake, we begin to surrender. Now, we may think that surrendering, we may think that admitting that we were wrong is an acquiescence or a giving up of our power. No, it's quite the opposite. When we are feeling powerless, that's when we're most apt to be controlling. That's when we're most apt to say, no, I wasn't wrong. It's an outward exertion of control. It's an outward exertion of a defense mechanism to say, no, I wasn't wrong. But that's not coming from a strength of power. That's actually coming from a place of weakness. That's right, it's coming from a place of weakness because we're afraid of being perceived as being weak. But it's not weak. That's just being vulnerable. Same with crying. Big boys do cry. I cry. Yes. And I'm not afraid to say it. Because the more that we become vulnerable, the more invulnerable we really become. The more that we can get in touch with our thoughts, feelings, and emotions and express them in a healthy way, watch out. Life starts to get really good. There's ups and downs, yes, sure, of course, right? But life starts to get real good because these ebbs and flows of the super high and the super low, those start to find a way to find some harmony and balance themselves out a little bit more. We live a little bit more like this, because it's not this, oh my gosh, I'm in this constant power struggle. And I see that happen so often in relationships where there's a lack of emotional flexibility. And for men, it's very, very often the fact that they are not giving themselves permission to say, I was wrong.